go, Jim. He's dead.
Hello and welcome to Improv Autopsy. I'm your host, Stephen Cadwell. In this episode, I interview Amy Huebschman, who I met when she was performing with Dear Aunt Gertrude in Tampa. Amy is kind both on and off stage, and when she's in a scene, she is with you 100%. Amy is also emblematic of so much of what I love about the art of improv. Amy isn't making a living performing, although you can see her performing with Lady Bits and Comedy Sportz in the Indianapolis area. Amy is an engineer. Amy builds bridges. Well, I think she tells other people how to build bridges. Maybe she does both. I love that improv brings people from all walks of life together to play, and that people from all walks of life see the value in play and the skills related to communication and cooperation that improv instills. Amy is an extraordinarily creative person, and I, for one, am happy she found improv as an outlet. Please enjoy Amy Huebschman's Improv Autopsy. Where are you at?
I'm in Indianapolis, so I'm on the suburbs.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, suburbs of Indianapolis. Moved back from Florida like 2014 or 15, I think. So we've been back a while.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been fun. Interesting.
And you say back, so this means you're from Indy?
Yes, I grew up in Indianapolis, and my husband grew up in the southern part of the state, and we both went to Purdue, and that's where we met.
Okay.
And then from Purdue we went to Florida, and then Tallahassee, Florida, and then Tampa Bay, Florida, where I met you guys, and then back to Indiana. So, yeah, I miss Florida, though. Do you ever miss Florida?
There's a lot of people down there in Florida that I miss.
Yeah.
Can you pronounce your last name for me?
Yes. For some reason, it's pronounced Huebschman. Hib, like I drink Mr. Pibb, my baby sleeps in a crib, that kind of And then the Schman is like schmear on a bagel with a man, Schman, Huebschman. I guess it's missing two little dots over the U, but I did not take German, so I really don't know what those mean. But my husband's family all say Huebschman, although it very much looks like it should be Huebschman or Huebschman, but it's Huebschman.
Okay.
I always wanted a stage name for improv, and I wanted it to be Henderson, like Harry and the Hendersons, but it never took off. Nobody everyone was like, nope, and they just put my normal name on there, so whatever. You know.
Is it just because of the idiosyncrasies in pronunciation that you wanted the stage name, or?
No, I think part of me likes the anonymity, or I think I'm using that word correctly, I don't know. Or just having the whole double identity, or sort of, not being known, I don't know. I've always been like in love with improv, but shy of being publicly known, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I come from a not creative family. Which so me doing improv was sort of like in line with doing drugs, I guess you could say. The number of times my parents as a youth, they'd be like, have you quit that improv troupe yet? And I would be like, oh yeah. And then like the very next day go do a show.
Oh, that's amazing.
It'd be handy. It would have been handy to have like a completely different name. Although my maiden name, Huebschman, is my married name. My maiden name is Piskarowski. So that name's just terrible. That's just a terrible name.
Both probably more likely to point to you if someone were to Google them versus a Henderson.
Henderson, exactly. It couldn't be a Smith or a Jones or anything else. So, Henderson is very fun.
And I understand you love Harry and the Hendersons from what I recently heard, so...
Well, I mean, what's not to love? It's like you got John Cleese, and you have Bigfoot. I mean, it's a good show. I think that was my favorite as a child. So, it is what it is.
Is John Cleese in that movie?
In my mind. I don't know. I'll have to Google it. I don't know. Hopefully.
Like, were you thinking like he was the lead guy? Because that's, what's his name from 30 Rock? Or not 30 Rock, from Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah. That's not John Cleese. That's somebody else.
No.
Well, then never mind. You know, the guy from 30 Rock on the Sun, John Cleese. No, I don't know who it is. I don't know.
John Lithgow.
Oh, yeah. That guy. John Lithgow. Yeah, he's nice. I really know him well.
But,
big fan.
Yeah, no, I want to see them both now in something together because I think that would be pretty amazing.
That would. They are similar.
Yes, there are definitely some similarities. Well, I feel like we've already jumped in, but thinking back, what was seeing that you came from a non-creative family, how did you get connected to improv? What was your inroad?
It was a guy, honestly. I went to a high school, and someone the year above me went to college. And they came back, and actually he joined a improv troupe. It was called Pumpernickel, and it was at IU. And they came back and did a show for like the whole student body, and I was enamored. I loved that show, and I really liked this guy too. We actually dated after that, and I just really liked it. Something about it's completely freeing.
Yeah.
It's one of the few things you can do that you actually do forget about the rest of your life for a little bit, at least. But yeah, so we dated, but we were young and immature, and the things happen as people do.
Yeah.
And we broke up after quite 3 years, but I never stopped doing improv. It was pretty funny.
Do you think you would have ever given him your number had he not done the improv show? I mean, had you not seen him do improv?
No. No. No, the improv really is...
See, you're giving hope to so many people right now.
I know. I'm not sure if that's the best path to, like, win the girl, and I'm not sure if I was ever the girl to win, but yeah, no, I think we were just very similar in tastes and styles and all that. But yeah, I do feel like there's a sort of shininess to people who can do improv, and I don't know, spectacular abilities. But yeah, I remember seeing that show and I was like, that was amazing. And then my girlfriend was like, that was so weird. And I was like, what? Like, it was just weird. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was amazing.
Do you remember any particular moments from the show?
Yeah, I do. I remember we were sitting in the auditorium, and they had one of the players on Pumpernickel was the host, and he was walking around asking for suggestions. And they did a lot of like short formy stuff, and it was just really well done, and a lot of quicker wits. It wasn't, you don't want someone's first improv show to be the long form stuff unless it's done really, really, really well. But yeah, I don't even remember the games or whatnot, but I just remember being like, I want to do that. And it worked out.
Do you have any idea if Pumpernickel is still around?
I don't think it is. I hope it would be, but I don't think it was. They were a really nice group of people who put that together. But I ended up not going to IU. I went to Purdue University. And I joined the different comedy troupe than Pumpernickel. I joined Crazy Monkeys, which is, at that time, it was a short form group at Purdue. And then that's where I actually got to do improv as opposed to, like, just watch it. So, yeah, and that was quite fun.
Are Crazy Monkeys still around?
They are.
Aha.
They are, and I'm so proud of that. Yeah, so I guess I graduated with my bachelor's from Purdue in 01 and my master's in 03. So they've been around. I think I went to Purdue in 97, and that's the first year it was started. It wasn't started by myself. I was one of the first cast members, but it was led by Fuzzy Gerds, Gerdes, and it'll come to me, and I will apologize to him when it does, because he's a really awesome dude. I don't know, and it was Leah, me, and I had a friend, Leah Link, and Alex. He was awesome, and it was just a bunch of people. Brandon, quirky people. It was good to have a place at college.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
How did the group, being sort of primordial or just in its infancy, just starting, how did you all learn your craft?
We were kind of lucky. Fuzzy and John. John was the other leader. John. He came from Comedy Sportz in Indianapolis, which Comedy Sportz at that time was on the north side of Keystone. And that was run by Ed Trout and Mia Roberts and all of them. Lynn Berger, David Ruark. And they all, John Wolfe, learned improv comedy from doing Comedy Sportz in Indianapolis, and then he wanted to start it up at Purdue. Now Fuzzy, I believe he learned his improv up in Chicago, and I think he's still up in Chicago. They started the group, and they were very organized and thoughtful, and I'm quite lucky that they were a part of our lives. Like, we had a room in a classroom, and they had like a plan of what kind of aspects of improv we would be focusing on, and they had it all thought out. And I'm quite lucky to have been, I guess, trained by them, I guess you could say, or learned the skill set from them. So it was really nice.
That's great. Yeah. So you weren't being self-taught. You had some people that definitely had some institutional knowledge or some training that they were bringing to you all.
Yes. And it was some sort of like standard, like, the standard warm-ups we all learned in the very beginning, like zip, zap, zop and
Yeah.
ABC, whatever it is. And then we would focus on starts, and we would focus on other things. The yes anding and the responding and being present. And then we learned games. So the Crazy Monkeys, for the most part, for the first 2-3 years, was all short form. Just games.
Sure.
A lot of it were a lot of the same games as Comedy Sportz plays. So it was like the Do Run Run. Do you remember? Have you ever seen that?
Yep.
The Do Run Run, the Do Rap, which is so funny and offensive. But that's what we did. Chain Murder Mystery, which is where you do the miming and mimicking, and it was pretty funny. It was a good time. It was pretty funny.
I'm a short form fan. That's what is Sex Bread and Butter is short form as well. So I'm steeped in a lot of that. Some games by different names, but yep, it's all in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, short form it's fun. It's to each their own, right? So it's cool.
Yeah. Now, so if they had some knowledge and they're building this troupe and you all are the first cast, you said, so at what point did you have your first show? Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of stretching my memories a little bit. So I believe in the very beginning, I think we had like 4 people in our audience, and it was hilarious. We did shows like in a coffee shop that was kind of down.
Yeah.
And you could tell that like a lot of the people were like, please stop. I just want to drink my coffee, And we would still be like, can you give me something you would find in your junk drawer? And they're like, I came in here to study. And then there was a theater that was above a church on campus, and then we did shows there. And after that, and that was pretty big. I think we got 20 people, and then 20 and 30, and then it just kind of grew. And then we got pretty lucky there. We had some pretty big shows towards the end of my time there. But it was fun. I think I liked the coffee shop time better than I think we were hired by the Purdue, like, incoming freshman, orientation people. So it was like the Boiler, I forget what it was called, the Boiler Buddies or something. I don't know. And so it was like 400 people, and I just don't think improv lends itself to that big of a stage as well. But
it does create some distance between the players and the audience, which is something that improv really relies on.
Yes, very, very much. So it's hard to read the room when it's quite that big.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're saying is you'd rather perform for 4 people who are there for some other reason than for 400 that are there to see you.
Yes, I thrive on conflict. So I want to ruin someone's day with happiness. Okay, maybe I exaggerated.
That's a great tagline, though. I think ruining your day with happiness sounds like that's a great tagline for a group.
Ruining. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to it, though. I mean, it's funny how people like to be miserable.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the goal, would be a nice little black box. A good 30, 40 people.
Yeah.
Maybe 50. The SAC Comedy Lab was good. A good setup, and something around that would be ideal. The coffee shop days were the funnest to remember.
Yeah, I think it's definitely encouraging to hear that, because I was with a group that did some coffee shop stuff. I think everyone, I don't know if we were all just content with the audience we would get. We'd actually bring some people into the coffee house in Orlando, but it was a small venue. It wasn't ever going to get any bigger.
Yeah.
Coffee was their thing, not improv. We had a lot of fun there, but it's nice to hear that can grow. Now, you're not currently connected with a group, correct?
Kind of. Yes and no. I actually am still contracted with Comedy Sportz in Indianapolis. So when we moved back from Florida, every time I don't do improv, I settle into some very, very deep depression. So I performed with Comedy Sportz for a good while when we moved back. And then currently I'm contracted with them and I get to practice with them whenever I want. They're very kind and they're like, come back when you get depressed, and then I can go play with them. And then I also play with, it's a friend of mine created her own production company, so every few months she does an improv show and I get to perform in that. It's called Lady Bits. And it's just an all-women improv show down on Mass Ave somewhere. I'll remember it. I'm very bad with names. I'm a math brain that does improv. But I still do it, and I still like it, and I still think it's important.
Good. Excellent. I love that. I'm elated to hear that you are still connected. It's the same way with me when I first moved to Florida after I finished my undergrad. I was there for a while and I was like, okay, I have to look to find the improv in the area, see if there's improv in the area. And that's how I kind of got connected to SAC, as I went there and started taking classes, because I was like, I've gone long enough without this in my life.
Yeah. I think those who know, right? Like, you just have to do it. I don't know. You get the bug. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So you said you have a math brain. May I ask what your vocation is?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually a structural engineer by trade. So I'm a bridge engineer specifically. So I currently work as a manager of a structural services group for a company locally here. So I have a staff of 10 other engineers, and our main bread and butter is load rating, which is a weird term for making sure existing bridges don't fall down, just because of the nature of life and corporations and governments. Trucks are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but all the bridges were designed for smaller trucks. And so we basically go through and we look at the existing structure and reevaluate if it can stay up for the bigger loads. So it's kind of fun and interesting. And then we also design and build new bridges and walls and other things like that. It makes me sad. Yeah.
It makes.
Yeah.
Do you find improv at all useful in your engineering job?
100%. 100%. Yeah, more in the management side of my engineering job and just the communication. I mean, no matter where you're going to go, we have to communicate. I actually spend a lot of time doing a lot of the communication with people who hate communicating. So if I can make it easier on them and less painful, then it works out better. I also I like to do presentations and training seminars. So I think having the practice of being on stage and talking to people has been helpful as well. So those soft skills, you need those in every job. And I don't think you could learn them any place better than an improv class. It's just amazing what you can do.
Yeah. So it's not limited to just, hey, can I drive my truck across that bridge? Yes, and the bridge will collapse.
No, it'll be like, yes, and I'll call the hospital to prepare, And it's a lot of, especially now in this political climate, I think it helps me to deal with the difficult peoples that we have to deal with, because my job, we deal with the public entity. We deal with the government quite a bit, so... Yeah, it's been helpful.
So going back to your improv history then, so you were at Purdue, you were in Crazy Monkeys.
Yes.
And then somewhere along the line, was it grad school or was it undergrad where you met your now husband?
The very end of undergrad, more grad school. We met, and then we actually got married right out of grad school at college. So, yeah. And the last year of grad school, I stopped doing improv to focus on writing my thesis. And then we got married, and then we moved down to Tallahassee, Florida. And that was probably the biggest break in improv that I've done, was when we lived in Tallahassee, Florida. And I got a big job there where I worked on bigger bridges, but I was so unhappy. It was kind of weird to be... That transition to office life, I had a very hard time with. I think just having a creative brain or that kind of business was hard. And then we moved down to Tampa Bay after 3.5 to 4 years in Tallahassee. And that's where I picked up improv again. So that's good.
And who did you connect with first down there in Tampa?
Toby Martini, he started a troupe through I want to say the Patel, does that sound right, over in Tampa? And it was called BAIT, Bay Area Improv Troupe. And that's where I met Daryl Knapp and
Yes.
Crystal Lambo and a lot of others, Larry. And through that troupe, we did a lot of practice and trainings, and we did shows in a weird like crystal shop where they sold like incense and like those strings that you hang up in doorways that are not doors, but they're fun.
Yeah, beaded curtains.
Yes, beaded curtains, lots of those, lots of dream catchers. The clientele was not at all interested in doing improv. It was kind of funny because, I don't know if they were all high or if it was just what was happening. And it was just really funny to me that we were doing improv to these poor people who just wanted to buy crystals and incense, move on their way. But it was a nice little thing we did. And then that troupe, it kind of fell to the wayside like they do. And then Crystal started Dear Aunt Gertrude, and that's where I met Kayla and everybody there. And that was fun, Dear Aunt Gertrude.
Now, when you were in Tallahassee, was it just sort of off your radar? Did you not look for anything? Or it was just you were engrossed in your job and there was no time?
I was engrossed in my job, and I had this weird mindset where I'm an adult now, and I should be fully adulting, and I don't know, being miserable. So, like, I worked really hard. I worked to buy a house, and it was foolish. Because I was like, I'm an adult now, so I should have no joy, which is kind of like our society.
Yeah.
And then finally I realized, I just can't be that person. And we were like, this is miserable. We are terrible. And then my husband got an offer to be transferred to Clearwater. And so that's why we moved to Tampa Bay. And then I changed jobs and started doing improv again. And it was much better.
Did you seek them out or did you happen upon them? How did you get connected with BAIT?
I seeked them out. I think there was a class at Patel.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I met Toby through that class. And then he invited me to be a part of their troupe. And then that's how I met everybody. It was definitely a decision of, you know what I miss? I miss improv. So I went back to do it.
Yeah, I do think you're onto something because I am one that would definitely say that improv teaches us how to be playful and have joy as adults.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, it's weird how you become an adult and the idea of play or any sort of anything that is not useful or purposeful or makes money is immediately frowned upon. But in reality, it's what gives everyone purpose. So just the connection, the freedom, the ability to take time and process everything. Yeah. It's something we all forget about and we all don't think about. But I don't know who I could be without it. I don't do it that often lately. I have a family here, so yeah.
It's okay to have priorities. It's okay.
Yeah.
When you were at Purdue even, and then also, I guess, navigating it down in the Tampa Bay area with all of those, did you encounter how did you deal with the sexism in improv?
Ooh. Well, I'm in engineering as well. So I have a lot of... Yeah. I deal a lot with sexism. At Purdue, I did have a very big fallout with a close friend of mine over issues similar to sexism, where it's just the idea is that, women aren't as good as men, or women aren't funny, or women, just the sort of concept and inappropriate behavior. I think in my regular career and my improv career, I've just always been very direct about it. And I'm like, dude, that's not cool. And I think when I perform, I've taken a lot of personality tests and for jobs and things. And I've always the one with the letters. I don't know. One of the letters is a D. Yeah. And I'm 100% D. So I'm a very driven, dominant personality. And on stage, if you're going to, I just don't fall for being bullied. I'm more of the bully. So just kind of never noticed. You know, like other girls or women would be like, oh, I just felt like kind of pushed to the side. And I was like, oh, did I push them to the side? Because that's, usually it's like, Amy, you have to share the stage. So I guess I just really just keep plowing forward. Even in my work life, I'm that way. I get a lot of flack, and then I'm like, whatever, and I just keep going and keep plowing forward. And people are always going to not like, and if sometimes it's easier to know that they don't like you because you're a woman, because you know what that is, and you can deal with that, and just keep going. Yeah.
My impression is, and I don't know this from firsthand experience, I think I may have played or at least workshopped a little bit with some Dear Aunt Gertrude a few times, but my impression is that Crystal created a pretty safe place.
Yes. Crystal is amazing.
In that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've already talked to Crystal, and I should have told her this, but I feel like she should start a consulting business where she just goes and talks to other improv theaters and been like, this is what you need to do.
Yes. She did. She was wonderful. Yeah, she is wonderful, I should say.
Yeah.
She's still alive. But yeah. Yeah.
So thinking about then your improv experience thus far, does anything stick out in your mind in terms of moments that were awkward or things that happened on stage that were maybe would have at the time been considered failures, but now they're great life lessons or great moments of hilarity that you can laugh at?
Yeah, there's quite a bit. I think more recently, probably about 7 years ago, I was on stage with Comedy Sportz. And Comedy Sportz, it's not like with an improv troupe, you have your set team of 5 people or 8 people or whatnot, and you're very comfortable with them and you know them very well. But Comedy Sportz will have a bigger pool of people, and in Indianapolis, it was pretty big. So you have your closer friends and the people you don't really like as much and other people. So it's kind of a harder gig because you get cast with who you get cast with. And there was 2 individuals that I just did not feel comfortable with. I just had a very hard time. And a lot of it was my own insecurities of like thinking what they're thinking, which is not okay to do, but that's human nature. And they did something in the show at the very end, and they did something and they noped me or something, and I took it very personal. It was like, I don't know why. Usually I do not do that, but I was so angry. And it was ridiculous because it wasn't personal and it wasn't intended in that manner. But something they did, they were like, nope. I remember them yelling, nope. And I got so angry afterwards. It was really foolish. But now, like, thinking back on it, I was like, okay, that's some deep issues you got to work on yourself, because you don't know what other people are thinking about you, and you don't know. We just have to choose happy, which is I'm not saying you can just will yourself to be happy, but you have to focus on the perspective that no one's out to get you. And you're just here living on this big rock, and you can believe everyone likes you, and then guess what? When you do that, everyone will. You just kind of move on.
It reminds me of a story that Dave Rosowski told in one of the workshops or one of the encounters I had with Dave Rosowski, and he talked about, I'm not going to get it all correctly, so this is his story, so anyone can ask him for the details, but I think it was, he was talking about making a choice or doing something in a scene, and it was one of those things where you think to yourself, oh, this is going to land. This is really going to be awesome. And he made the offer and was met with dead silence. And he said, in that moment, he had 2 choices. One was to think to himself, they hate me.
Right.
And he said instead of that, he chose to think, they are in awe of me.
That's good.
What he said was, both of those things were lies. I chose to believe the one that made me feel better.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That guy's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you a part of the Dear Aunt Gertrude crew that went up to Gainesville Improv Festival?
I went to one. I don't know which one you're talking about. I went to a few of those.
I'm thinking of one where you were doing a form called Shell.
Yes, that was mine. Oof, I love that show.
Do you remember the festival I'm talking about then?
Yeah, I think I do. If you can, is there something you're specifically wanting me to remember? Because I can't.
Okay, yes. So Kayla remembers doing that, being up there once, and you had this thing, and it was one of the one of the college groups that were opening the set or that bit before you, and they're like, we didn't really have anything prepared, so we're just gonna read some poetry out of this book and improvise based on that.
I put that out of my mind. No, I do remember that. I think as a trauma response, I completely forgot about that. Oh, yeah, I do remember that. That was terrible.
Crystal, I think, had also forgotten, but she remembered when I mentioned it. And Kayla I don't think she's ever forgotten, because we talk about it every once in a while when we're just, sharing scars. But what if anything, do you remember about that to get your perspective on it?
I just remember cussing in my mind. Like, God damn. Are you fucking kidding me? So I just remember being like, what the hell are we going to do now? And then finally I just resolved. I'm like, well, we're just going to do what they're doing but better. Like, what can we do? Oh, it was so funny. That was a good time.
This is what Kayla remembers about that particular thing. She said you were all, maybe you were in the, I don't know if she said you were in the house. I know she said you all were watching some shows before going back to the green room. Yeah. And it was just kind of deflated the balloon when you heard that that's what they were doing. And the host, whoever it was very apologetic. They're like, we did not know they were going to do that. We're so sorry. When I talked to Crystal, she was like, I didn't know whether, do we scrap the whole thing and do something else? Do we keep doing what we were doing? And kind of second guessing herself at this point, and very empathetic, but no idea. Like, I don't think there's a right answer there for what you do. So sticking with what you came with, I think, is great. And then the other thing, and this may be why Kayla remembers it so much, is because she was also in the next group that went up, which was Doctor Who's Line.
Yeah.
Whoever was introducing it, not to take a jab at anybody, but just because it was, the kind of the elephant in the room when they got up to start, they said, we will not be reading any poetry before.
Just so nobody leaves. So they can
just so you, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I guess if there's an improviser's nightmare, it's, that the group before you just did the same thing you were going to do.
The exact same bit. Yeah.
Yeah. just not Shel Silverstein, just different poet. It's like, well,
yeah. Shel Silverstein poetry, though. I mean, you can't beat Shel Silverstein. That guy. It was amazing. Yeah. Oh, how funny.
Any other moments like that you can remember? Not that you remembered that one.
I guess we've learned that I'm very good at just putting it out of my mind. I don't know. Everything's great. My improv career was amazing. No fails.
Is amazing.
Oh, yes, is. I'm still doing it. I forget. Actually, I do have something. The very last show I did was with Lady Bits, and I was such a goof, and it was not my best show, but I had a coughing fit, and we were doing a long form musical at the end of the show, and so like midpoint in, I had a coughing fit because I had some pneumonia like a month earlier, and instead of just like somehow writing off what my character or anything, I was like, I had a coughing fit, and then I went back on stage because I didn't want to stop, and it was so bad. It was so foolish because they'd be like, oh no, General Proctor's gone, and I was like some old timey guy in that musical, and then I just showed back up, and they're like, and you're back. And I was like, sorry. But it was like one of those coughing fits where you're like super coughing, and it was really gross. I should have just stayed off and then came out afterwards and been like, I didn't die. You're welcome.
So when you started coughing when you were on stage?
Yes. Middle of song, too. Yeah. So we have a piano player, Paige, and she does really good background music. And so, like, she started playing, and I was doing, like, a singing bit. And then, like, something just happened, like when you're sick. And I could not really get a good breath in. So I wasn't just coughing. I was like, it was terrible. And then I had to, someone wanted to, started hitting me on the back a little bit, go breathe. And then I had to leave the theater. It was awful. I should have just stayed away. But then, who knows? It could easily be, if I did stay away, I should have said, I should have just gone back. So you never know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think having the wherewithal to actually leave the stage was good because, what can you do when you're there? But when that type of reality intrudes on a scene, you got to do something.
Yeah. 100%.
And I can also envision, Kayla and I just saw the tour of Clue last night.
Oh, fun.
And at one point, a napkin fell on the floor, and it took too long, in my opinion, for someone to pick it up. When I was in college, one of the things in one of the acting classes, I think this is, for a lot of people, one of the first things they learn is that if something falls on stage, pick it up, because as soon as it falls, you're now being upstaged by a napkin, because everyone's eyes are glued on that napkin, because everyone kind of knows that wasn't supposed to happen. And in real life, someone would pick that up, but sometimes like, well, no one was told to go over there, so we're sticking to our blocking. So the best thing to do is pick it up as quickly as possible. So I can imagine someone in the audience being like, did she just leave stage and die? What happened to her? Is she okay? So coming back did alleviate any of those fears that anybody had.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That makes me feel a little better. I think I should have come back and been more of a background person. Instead, in my true letter D fashion, I was like, I'm back and I'm singing a solo about something I don't know what's going on. It was funny. Oh, well.
Hey, come back big.
Yeah.
What is the worst audience interaction that you've seen or experienced?
I think it's always when people have been drinking, of course.
Yeah.
And they're always yelling something profane. Like, it's funny, like, when people yell, penis. It's like, give me a break. You know what I mean? Like, so many times you get yelled at. Actually, one of the first improv shows I've ever seen, I got brown bagged, which is a Comedy Sportz thing, for yelling out peanuts, like the snack that is really a bean, but is actually called a nut. And they were like, can we get a suggestion of something you find at the ballpark? I remember this because Ed Trout said it, and I yelled, peanuts! And my voice doesn't carry off it sometimes, and enunciation is a skill. And he thought I was saying penis. And so it was the most horrifying moment of my 17-year-old life at that time. They put a big brown paper bag on my head. And I felt horrible. But those kids next to me had to learn sometime about anatomy. So why not then?
Have you hosted as well, Amy?
With Comedy Sportz, no. With other people, yes. So I never went through the ref training. But at Crazy Monkeys, after doing that for a while, I was one of the directors and would host as well. And that's a skill set that certain people are really good at and certain people are not.
Yeah. I hosted quite a bit at SAC, and I know for a fact, for me, there are moments when if someone would have shouted that out, we had a scum box instead of a bag. It's usually for the players, not the audience. But if someone would yell that out, I would intentionally misinterpret it for the gag, for the joke. I hope I never did it to a 17-year-old girl, but there's a very excellent chance that had zero to do with you.
I know. It's still, at the time, as that girl, you were like, no 17-year-old girl is going to think, oh, this has nothing to do with me. Because in their mindset, everything has everything to do with them. But it was pretty funny, though. It's a good memory now.
Well, I'm glad it's good. Yeah, because I was like, oh, goodness.
I laugh at it. I don't hold on to it with musings of disgust. I just think it's very funny how embarrassed I was. I think I didn't even shake hands with the people who performed. I think we left. I think we just left. I was with my sister as well, who was very shy, and she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. It was just...
Do you think it's that moment? That moment is the reason that your family keeps asking you if you've stopped improv? Like they've never forgiven you for shouting out peanuts at a Comedy Sportz show? I wish it was some good story like that. But no, it is just the deviance of improv comedy. I think my parents have only seen I've only one, maybe two shows. They saw one show at Purdue and one show in Indianapolis at Comedy Sportz. And that's it. So, yeah, no, they really, really dislike comedy. It's the strangest thing. I don't know why. Isn't there a bridge you should be building?
I know. You need to do engineering or medical school or get a higher degree or go, go, go. Drive, drive, drive. Bigger, bigger, bigger.
You seem to have done pretty well, yeah?
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, it's fine. I am going through this weird midlife, why did I do what I'm doing kind of thing. It is what it is. You know, I'm successful in all sorts of terms that people use that basis, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I think there are a lot of people that probably unknowingly, when they're crossing a bridge, are thankful that you went into what you did.
Yeah, yeah. I hope so. I don't know how long I can do it again, but, you know, I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah.
Working for the man.
Someday, hopefully, we can. That will be working for the woman.
Well, it is for the people working for me. Ha! But, yeah, I mean, it'll be fine.
Since you have so much short form experience, are there any short form games that you really just do not like?
Oh, forward and reverse, or anything similar. I can't. I don't know. I get bored. I'm like, we already saw that. I want to see the rest of the story, but we're still going backward. You know, like when we go backwards and the shtick of jumping out of a window. You know, like. Inevitably, you have the shtick where someone does something big with physicality and they go backward and forward and backward and forward. I think it's fun to watch. Me being older, it's not fun to do. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to need to go to the chiropractor tomorrow, or I can't do this. I don't know. It just is one of those things. And, you know, that game takes a lot of listening, and when it's loud, people miss it, miss the call, or it really is dependent on a very good host. And so, that game I never want to play ever. Then there's also guessing games, where you're trying to guess who they went to the movies with and who murdered who or whatnot. I'm so bad at pop culture and names, I'll never guess it. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know who that person is. It's really bad. So if I know I'm gonna have to play that game, I'll try to go through all the pop news real quick and hopefully kind of remember. I didn't know one time it was Kim Kardashian, and I was like, I have no idea who this person is. And everyone was like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I build bridges all day. I don't talk to I don't watch E.
Yeah.
If E is even still a thing.
Well, and to be fair, in your defense, there was nothing wrong with you. There was something right with you, and
Oh, yeah. Well, that's kind.
So do you feel that for forward reverse, sort of that type of game, is it the repetition and a little bit of the physical, the hack physical stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think so for me, performing-wise. It's not what I'm best at. I think the older I get, too, the more I like the story.
Yeah.
I like the weird, quirky story that comes from working with other people. I like not knowing what's going to happen, but the finality of it. Wow, that was a delightful story. As opposed to, the shtick, as opposed to the funny bits.
Yeah.
Which you need. You need the funny bits. I mean, just to keep going. But the older I get, the more I'm interested in the why of why is that character doing that? What in their past made them do that? What in the relationship between those people made them go that way? And the why.
Yeah.
That's what I am hungry for, I guess.
Are there any short form games that you really love that let you explore those?
I do kind of like this one. It's four corners where they rotate.
Yeah.
And so I like that a lot. I don't know how good it is about the why, but I like it when it's not played where you pick up immediately. So you rotate and it's the story was going and while no one was watching.
Yeah.
And then you're oh wow, now they're fighting. And then you can in your own mind figure out what happened, or it's just so much more interesting that idea that the world keeps spinning. I really like that one a lot. It keeps me very entertained. And then other things Emotional Roller Coaster was one I used to love, where they would call out different emotions and then the story would be driven by those different emotions. I kind of liked that. As long as they didn't get the horror, I can't say that name of that word, where it turns into the screaming fest. Ugh, I can't handle that. Yeah, it hurts my ears.
That, incidentally, as a host, would be one that I would love to misinterpret. When someone would say horror, I'd say, excuse me?
Yes. Horror. Yeah, well, that's fun.
For Four Corners, which I know as both Foursquare and Pan Left, Pan Right.
Yes.
As alternate titles for anyone that knows them as that. There's another version or a version of that I've played where as you pan or as you move through from one to another, you have to take the last line that was said in the previous scene and use that as your first line as you rotate into your scene. That I find is a good way to ensure that there's a bit of a time jump so someone can't just jump back to the immediate moment, because at least now we've got this line that's been said that we have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how they play it here too.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Yeah, it's really well done. The transferring of the line, you're right. It creates the jump that you need. It's pretty interesting.
Is there anything, and there's no judgment involved in this question.
Okay.
Because it's something that I think is just par for the course in some ways. Speaking of repetitive, not in a forward reverse kind of way, but that something that happens often when you're doing comedy sports, things that would happen every show or some shtick or some bits that recur too much.
I guess when some improvisers or performers or artists, I guess you could call them, like, get a laugh and you gotta let it drop. Like the rules of 3. No more, don't bring it back more than 3 times.
Yeah.
But like when someone's new, I think maybe it's that feeling of their first laugh or, oh, that got a big laugh. They just want to keep bringing it back. And then it kills it in the end. Well, not kills it like, yeah, kills it. But like, oh man, a slow death with typhoid kills it. Yeah.
Well, let me rephrase a little bit, because I have something specific in mind, and I didn't want to pollute the well too much.
Oh, okay.
And I'll preface this by saying that I've had jobs where I did like crowd interaction, and when the crowd was willing to participate, it was great, and we could just ride that tide. But there were some times when no one was really on board, and I had to fall back to the bits that I had in my back pocket.
Yeah.
And that was never as fulfilling for me, but it worked, and that's fine, and there's nothing wrong with it. I get it. But before I get to the story, do you ever do 5 things?
Yes.
And is there any pattern there for Indianapolis for 5 things?
It's been a while since I've done this. So, like, lately they'll get a name that has 5 letters in it, and we'll have, like, the first thing will start with the same letter of the first name, and then we'll have adjectives that also have to have that same letter, and then it's good. It's just a lot of shtick, but they make it very hard at the Comedy Sportz here. Like, it's never just diving in water. It's like diving in Drano with donuts and, Duran. So, and then you have to do those 4 items that go along with it. It's just the same old. But you have like certain like mimes and gibberish that everyone knows what it is because they've worked with you for so long. So they're like, oh, Amy's about to go swimming. And you're just like, like, oh, there we go.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked and the reason I pointed to that specific thing is before we ended up moving to Chicago, Kayla and I went and we saw a Comedy Sportz show in Chicago. And again, I'm saying no judgment here. I brought this up with David Charles as well because he played at Comedy Sportz Chicago when he was in school up there. Mm-hmm. And we went back to Orlando and we were at a SAC show sitting in the green room, and we were like, oh, David, we went and saw Comedy Sportz. And he's like, oh, did they play 5 things? And we said, yeah. And he said, was one of them bungee jumping off the Eiffel Tower into some sort of flavor of Jell-O? Yes, it was.
Did they set that up, or is it just everyone loves the Eiffel Tower and Jell-O and bungee cord jumping? I don't know. That's funny.
Yeah, and I think, I love that grabbing a name like that and working off the letters of a name, because I think that's a great way to prevent the person that's doing that's getting the suggestions. It's a great way to prevent you from falling into those well-worn ruts that can happen. And I think that they'd just been in a rut, and the questions that they were asking more often than not elicited those responses. So, what's a landmark not in the U.S.?
The Eiffel Tower. Yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of subconsciously planting those seeds in their questions and had been doing it evidently for like 15 years or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And like I said, no judgment, because I get it. And I didn't know if Indianapolis, I imagine Chicago, especially Comedy Sportz, which now has moved. I think they lost their theater space during pandemic, but I.O. has given them a home. So they're doing shows at I.O. every now and again, not as frequently as they used to. But pre-pandemic, a lot of tourists coming through. So you could do that. And I mean, Kayla and I would never had known, had we not had that conversation, that was something that happened with that much frequency.
Oh,
so
that's so funny.
Yeah. And I think it's fair for performers to have stuff in their back pocket as well. Like I said, to be like, you know what? I got to check out my brain, but I still have this stuff because we still got to finish the show. So, yeah.
100%.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. I do have some Inside the Actor Studio list of questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
If you're up for it.
Oh, yeah. This is fun.
Amy, how do you get into the proper headspace to play?
Music. I love music. I have a playlist. I have a playlist for pre-show, and it's just a lot of my favorite songs. And they typically have to be peppier songs, obviously, and happier. And just kind of, I really put on my stereo very loud on the car ride if I'm driving. And then, yeah, it's music for me. Music, and then the warm-up games with the crew, or, the people you're performing with. That always is very helpful for me as well.
Do you have some that you gravitate toward? Any warm-ups that you gravitate toward?
I really like ones where you sing very loudly, very badly. I feel like just being terrible and loud and ridiculous gets everyone out of their headspace. So, like, just being as ridiculous as you possibly can and not trying to impress anyone, just pure out lunacy is best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gaston or any kind of ridiculousness. Yeah. There's a lot of extremely talented people in Indy here. It's almost mind-blowing. And they've all created these really good warm-ups. Yeah, just being dumb and loving it, not caring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. What is your favorite get for?
I like to pull someone up and ask, what do you think they do for a living? Because it's always so hilarious. So, like, someone once pulled me up and was like, what do you think Amy does for a living? And someone yelled, hairstylist. And I was so flattered. I was like, I've made it. I am finally cool. Because, like, hairstylists are usually pretty hot and happening, and, like, they are good at talking. And they, like, look nice, and they have the best fashions. It's way better than engineer. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm a hairstylist now. You know it. Yeah, those kind of suggestions. Because it's just kind of interesting to see what other people's perspective of other people are, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Now, when you say that you pull someone else up, you're talking about another player then, I take it.
Yes. Because you don't want to make someone feel terrible in the audience. So it's usually another player. Like, what do you think they do for another living? Or what do you think they could do if people think we could actually make a living off improv? That kind of a question.
Yeah. So don't pull the 17-year-old girl with the bag on her head up out of the audience
and ask.
No,
let's not make her feel worse.
What do you think this person does for a living?
Yeah. Prostitute? Anybody? Prostitute? No. That'd be so terrible.
What should this 17-year-old girl do with her life?
What should she do? Go home and cry? All right, on it. But it's all good.
All right, we're taking Go Home with Cry. Go home and cry. What is your least favorite suggestion to get?
Oh, something lame and terrible. Like, what do you find in the trunk of your car? Like, oh, no. Great. Let's do a really interesting scene about jumper cables. There's like, oh, okay.
Do you find that most of those scenes would probably involve, like, if it's jumper cables, then it's probably going to be jumping a car. Yes. If it's a tire, it's probably going to be changing a tire.
Yes, and then they're the task-orientated scenes where everyone's like, I'll go get the tire. And it's just like, oh, man. Sometimes, if you're playing with people who've been doing it longer, it can be a delight. It doesn't matter what the suggestion is. You can, like, have jumper cables and somehow it fits in there, but it's not about jumping a car. But it's a lot to ask of someone who's just starting out to be able to do that. That's a learned skill. And it's not fair for me to be like, all right, you're now just getting used to being on stage and all these people are looking at you. Now be smarter and think outside the box. And I was like, oh, these poor people they're going to be so much in their head. Oh, just let them get the gunk out first and then get going.
Yeah. Do you have a way that you like to burn a suggestion that doesn't inspire you?
I'm a people pleaser, so no, I'll still play the game. Like, whatever for a treat, What
if someone yells penis?
Oh, I would probably just yell, I bet they mean peanuts, like a bag of nuts. And just go with that. So it's like you're taking it
Yeah.
still, but you're making it better. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, Comedy Sportz doesn't let me host very much. And neither does Lady Bits. They're always like, oh no. So I don't know. I tend to get distracted and ask people about their day, and they're like, come on, come back to the show. I'm more of the player than the host. Even though I've been doing it for 20 some years now, everyone is still like, all right, we need you to just be back here. And I don't mind that.
So Comedy Sportz, the host is the one fielding the suggestions?
Yes, they have a referee. They have special training, and those people get picked to do things like that.
Okay, because at SAC, which was theater sports for a while, and then transitioned to just kind of their own thing, but still very theater sports adjacent, or very close to what theater sports would be. But we, as the host, I would tell the players what the game was going to be, but then they would take it from there, and they would get their own suggestions and do their own setups.
Oh wow, yeah, no, that is a very good idea, and it would give more skills to more people. But no, we have Comedy Sportz had dedicated referees who did a certain training, and they do all of it.
The training was, here's a picture that has a lot of people in it. Find the 17-year-old girl.
We want sadness right there as much as possible.
Yeah. Who's most likely to be embarrassed in this photo?
Insecurity tracker on.
You can tell when they don't look at you.
So funny. Yeah.
Can you describe your onstage persona? How is onstage Amy different than offstage Amy or real life Amy?
Honestly, I'm not very good. I'm very similar. I laugh a lot on stage and off stage. I do have characters. Sometimes they're grumpy and old, but for the most part, I try to be as genuine as possible. So I guess I'm a Jimmy Fallon kind of person. Like, this is just me doing things up here, having a good time. That's a deep question. I'll have to think about it a lot more.
What is it, would you say, that inspires you on stage?
The other players. Some players are just astoundingly talented, and that I find that inspiring. I think the laughs, of course, when the audience is laughing, that just brings immense joy because you're bringing laughter.
Yeah.
I find that inspiring.
Is there anything that would shut you down or take you out of it on stage?
I think for me, and I think for lots of people, it's very important to feel like I belong with the people I'm performing. Like, if I ever feel like an outsider or like I shouldn't be here, that will eventually make me spiral and not want to be there, not feeling well about it. So I think a sense of belonging and contentment with your other players is important. We need to leave status off the stage, except for the writing of doing the scenes. But yeah, that sort of weird feeling you can get sometimes is unpleasant.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that not pointing to a source necessarily, but would you say that that's part of what you were feeling in the nope moment you talked about?
100%.
Was that disconnect?
Yeah, it was a disconnect. And it was like an unfortunate situation where I joined a group with a lot of experience who had already been established and grew their experience with each other. So it's hard to come in already knowing how to do a thing with people who expect you to not know how to do a thing. And a lot of that is internalized too. Like, we create our own outcomes from the stories we tell ourselves in our minds. So if you go into it thinking, I don't belong, then you won't belong. And I think that's just something I learned later in life as opposed to earlier. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I said not saying where it comes from, because I know in my life there have been times where even with people that I should have known better, but I brought that with me on the stage, like that, the feeling that I was a third wheel or whatever, and then it's like, that was not the best work I ever did.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I do that too.
I think we've hit some of these possibly already, but in your estimation, what makes a good scene partner?
A listener and a giver. Yeah, 100% listen. And
yeah.
I think that's very vital. And just someone who you like as a person is good.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Someone you hate listening to you doesn't necessarily make it better.
No.
What, if any, is there any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Live life for yourself, not for anyone else. I think, although I'm proud of where I am now, I do wonder if I made different choices, where I would be. But I mean, I'm still young. I'm 45, so I still have a good number of years ahead of me. But I do wonder, like, just live for yourself, not anyone else. Like, I think as a young person, I wanted to please my parents and then please my teachers and then please who knows, you know. And I actually did improv in secret. Who does that? Who joins an improv troupe and then lies about it continuously? And I was just doing engineering just because I wanted to keep going to college. And then I thought, well, I will just not do this and then go do improv. And who goes to engineering school to do improv? It's just ridiculous. That's what I did. Walk that careful, balanced line of trying to keep everyone happy. I wish I just let everyone be angry and went on my own way.
You mentioned, I mean, what was our bumper sticker again that you created that was the ruin your day by bringing you joy?
Ruin your day by bringing you happiness. Ruining your day with happiness. That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting when you say, I should just let everyone be angry and done this for me, because the thing that you want to do is actually bringing joy to people.
I know. That's so messed up. Oh, yes. I wanted to make people like relieve their stress and feel a little happiness and joy in secret and hiding under a false name in the Hendersons. It's so nonsensical.
I think that's the answer to all this, is just getting you a pseudonym.
Yes.
That's the, getting you a fake name is really the answer to.
Totally true.
If you could do a scene with anyone living, who would it be?
Okay, now there's this guy, and I'm really bad with like pop culture and names, but I think he's a crazy funny genius. And he was on Parks and Rec, and he was also on a space show. Oh, he's so funny. I don't know his name, but that guy. Isn't that terrible? And I apologize.
Do you remember what role he played on Parks and Rec?
He was the one guy's friend who was like a player, and he was like, oh, I'll hook you up. And then he had the sister, who's that other actress who's hilarious. Oh, I don't know her name either.
I asked that question and realized after I asked what role they had that I didn't really watch Parks and Rec, so regardless of your answer, it was not going to clarify.
This is like the worst. I'm so sorry. He had a show in Chicago, and I bought tickets to it. And then one of my children like puked all over, like as we were getting ready to leave, so we had to stay. The babysitter was like, no.
Yeah, okay. Is it Ben Schwartz, do you think?
Yes!
Okay, all right.
He's a genius. That guy is a genius. Yeah, I like him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and touring was a clue as well, because he tours with, I think, Schwartz and Friends maybe is what he's calling the show.
Yeah, that guy. I like him.
So there's always a chance if you make it to a show that you could, volunteer and get up on stage somehow.
Oh, I should try.
I don't know if he does
that. Yeah.
Just storm the stage.
Although I'm not really like bedazzled by people very easily.
Yeah.
That guy, I think he's hilarious. And of course, there's always the greats like Rosowski and the big people who've made it in show business, like Comedy Sportz, and that guy Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
Those people. There's always those people.
Yeah. I mean, I think it might be possible that Ben Schwartz would feel a little slighted that you're like Ben Schwartz or one of those big people that made it.
You're right, because he has made it, and he's amazing. Oh, I'm a jerk. It's so natural. I can't not be. Oh, sorry, Ben Schwartz.
He definitely listens, so he'll definitely hear this.
Oh no! Okay.
No, yeah. I'm sure he doesn't.
I'm just playing along. I'm just yes-anding. It's all good.
If you could do a scene with anyone deceased who's gone before, in the pantheon of people who've gone before, who would you do a scene with?
I think a friend of mine who passed. I miss her.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can name her if you want.
Oh, Erin Carr. Erin Carr. Yeah, she was in Comedy Sportz and in Indy, and she used to be in Chicago, I think. And it's kind of interesting because I'm a mom, And there are not a lot of improv moms out there who are still doing improv. And she also had a daughter. And we were friends outside of improv and inside of improv. And I don't know. She really made a difference in my life. So, yeah, I think I would bring her back if I could.
And are there any scenes that you specifically remember, any moments improvising with her that stick in your mind?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I do think she also really got into stand-up, and she was so supportive. I used to do this thing, and it was pretty crazy. I would do improvised stand-up,
Yeah.
where she had this show she created. It was called 10 at 10. And she just would like believe in people so deeply, and she made me feel like I could do it. And then I would do just like 10 minutes of just stand-up comedy based off of suggestions from the audience, which is pretty ballsy if you think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty ballsy. But we did it, and we practiced doing it a lot, like on playgrounds with like our children playing, which is pretty funny because the other moms are like, "What is happening?" And I'm like, "Can I get a suggestion for anything?" It's just, it was fun and interesting and different.
How did those shows go over?
They went over really well. I think a lot of it had to do with the lineup, so I think it's a lot easier to perform for a group that wants to laugh.
Yeah.
So like I would never do stand-up improv for a show that a company put on for their employees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, like a road show. That's when you're pulling the shticks you've always done out.
They're staring at the buffet, not the stage, so we need to wrap this up.
Yes, exactly. The worst for me is we had to do a show for a company on a train. So it was like a older train that you could rent for your parties.
Yeah.
So the company rented us, the improvisers, and the train. So we had to somehow do an improv show, but we had just the area between the seats, like long, skinny walkway in between all these seats where the people are staring at us. That was epic.
Where was that?
It was in Noblesville, Indiana. So, like, there's a rail.
Okay.
There used to be, like, a rail line, and you could, like, in the Christmas, they'll have Santa on that train, and the kids sit on the train. They pretend it's, like, that weird movie with that guy in the volleyball. And,
Tom Hanks.
Ticket to Ride. Yes, Tom Hanks. And, you know what I'm talking about. So they rented this train, we did the show, and then when the show was done, we couldn't leave, so we just kind of had to hang out with everybody. It was the worst. So it was like, show's done, and then we sit down, and then we got to eat some food. And I'm like, so how long have you been working here? I was just talking to all these, it was just, wow, one of those days.
Was this a Comedy Sportz corporate gig?
Yes, it was. It was a Comedy Sportz gig. It was painful.
I'm amazed because there's a story that I've talked to some other people about. It's infamous. Well, maybe not as infamous as I think it is, but it was infamous for a while. There was a corporate gig that SAC did that it was a company that they were taking people. I don't know where they were going eventually, but they had like 4 buses that were taking from maybe like Orlando to Miami or from one place to another. And they all stopped somewhere and the improvisers got on the buses and did a little bit of a show exactly like what you're talking about that lasted, I don't know, 25 minutes or whatever it was, and then they had to just be like, okay, thank you, and then sit in the front of the bus, and they were stuck on the bus.
That's exactly what we did.
Like,
and then you're just like, hey.
Yeah.
The bedazzle is lost with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the shine is gone.
It is the show equivalent of being like, well, see you later, and then realizing this isn't your floor and you have to stay on the elevator for another however many floors.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Okay, still have a good night.
Yeah. For real this time. Have a good night.
Yeah. Bye.
I love that has happened somewhere else to other people because that is amazing to me. I also love that you and your friend practiced your improvised stand-up in what seems to me to be a venue that you really love, which was the playground where people were there for a different reason and you could do improv for them.
Ruining their day with it.
Yeah, yes. So, there is a theme here. I'm sensing a theme.
Forcing improv on people. You wanted to just read your book by yourself.
Yeah.
Well, too bad for you.
But we're going to force a smile on that face. If you could do a scene with anyone fictional, who would it be?
I really like the cartoon The Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Starfire from Teen Titans Go. She's pretty funny. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fine answer. And I love that you didn't have to describe the character by what they were wearing. You knew right straight out the gate who the person was versus having to say the guy with the volleyball. So
yeah, the guy with the volleyball. You know that famous guy.
you told us so much about you by just being able to name Starfire.
I know the names of cartoons on the Cartoon Network better than major notable people. Tom Hanks? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think Ben Schwartz should feel better knowing that he's in good company with Tom Hanks. So
with Tom Hanks as well. Yeah, I think he's the new Tom Hanks. I really think highly of Ben Schwartz.
When you're doing your improv, especially like Comedy Sportz, what do you find most helpful from the booth?
When they repeat, like for 5 things, when they repeat the suggestions, because sometimes when the or the host repeats it, I can't always hear what's going on with the loud background noise. Oh my gosh, I sound so old. Crikey, my hearing aid won't always work. I need assistance. That's so sad. But that is it. Yeah.
What do you find least helpful from the booth?
When they try to underplay the music that you're doing, but they do the level too loud and you can't hear what the other people are saying. Yeah, anything that affects the hearing. Hearing is a big issue.
Yeah. Well, I think that scans as well, especially, you said that listening was what you really like in a scene partner. So yeah, if you can't actually hear it, it does inhibit listening.
Quite a bit. And all I hear is this bass beat in the background. I'm like, great. I'm just gonna pretend I know what you said. It's bad. Yeah, I probably should go to the ENT, but one thing at a time, I guess.
Other than laughter, what audience sound do you revel in?
When they go, I think that's so funny. I love it. Like when you shock people and they go, it's so funny. I just think that's great. Like, oh no. Did we upset your sensibilities? I just think that's hilarious.
Shows that what you did was unexpected, but also that they were invested.
Yes, that's a good point. They're actually doing it with you. Yeah, I think it's amazing.
We may have already answered this one, but if you can think of another one, if it wasn't the one we just talked about, what is the worst venue you've played in?
Oh, the train. Yeah. 100% the train. You can't get much worse than a train.
I can't imagine that you could.
And it had like overhead storage, so you like kept hitting your head on the... It was just epic. I remember getting in my car after and like, why? What am I doing this for? I was reevaluating my life. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, obviously it was for the free train ride.
Well, yeah. Woo! A train ride on a Saturday night without my family, meeting people who do accounting.
You just make it sound better and better.
I know. It's like, okay. Yeah, I made $15.
Would you rather spend some time with your loved ones or make $15 in a train full of accountants?
That's exactly it. Win, win, win. They'll let you have the leftover appetizers. They might be cold, but they're still crunchy. So bizarre.
I think Cold But Crunchy is a good improv team name.
Cold But Crunchy.
What is the best note or best words of wisdom that you've received?
I once took a class with David Rosowski in the Miami Improv Festival.
Yeah.
A long time ago. And I remember I was playing with Daryl, and I don't know, I was nervous because I get nervous, and I somehow was trying to make the scene funny. And Rosowski's like, don't force the funny. And at one point, he stopped us completely, and he yelled at me, and he yelled, don't make him be crazy, because I was making Daryl be the crazy guy, because I thought it would be funny. And then I think from that point, I think it had changed the way I approached everything and focusing more on story and the funny of life as opposed to trying to force the funny.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
If that was 2008, I may have been at that workshop.
No, it wasn't 2008.
Okay.
Because 2008, I had my oldest son. Unless you remember me very pregnant.
I don't. I just know that it was a Miami Improv Festival that a good friend of mine, Greg, and I, and Jose Rodriguez may have also been there. That was our first experience with Dave Rosowski Workshop, and it really did sort of open a lot of doors for us in terms of showing some different ways to look at improv and different ways of playing that we hadn't encountered yet.
Yeah, it might have been. That guy, man, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Rosowski. He can really change your whole perspective.
Yeah.
He should get an award. Does he have an award? We should get him an award. I'm sure he has an award.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They may have brought him back, I mean, you know, to more than one just Miami Improv Festival, so it could have been a different one for sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Is there a note that you've received that you would say would be the least helpful, or what's the least helpful note you could conceive of?
I've had directors have us do the same scene, and then they're like, go do that scene, but do it different. Just like, different how? Like, just give me something to, do it different. Do it different. Just be different. Just give a little bit more notes, if you could.
Yeah.
That kind of like, ugh, fine.
I think I might know where the root of your dislike for forward and reverse comes from, being told to do a scene again differently. but with no other note.
With no other note. I need inspiration.
Yeah. But you do the same thing again and then do the same thing again? What do you want from me?
Yeah, I don't think I could ever do TV acting. Ugh.
You hinted that there are a few of these, and somehow I glossed over this as I was going down my questions, but what is your favorite type of character to play?
Usually the quirky antagonist. I like to cause drama. I think it's so much fun. To make people uncomfortable. I think it's so funny. I just love that. I think it's very interesting, because it's not how I am in my real life,
Yeah.
So it's like I'm playing my counterpart, and I get to just cause problems. I think it's hilarious.
Awesome. If there were Academy Awards for everything improv, what would you be nominated for?
I think one-liners or quips or something like that.
Okay.
I tend to make jokes more than I should. I really love humor a bit, so more than I probably should for improv, if that makes sense. I'm more of the comedian than the actor kind of bit, so yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That's great. If you are remembered 100 years from now for something improv related, what would you want it to be?
Having it continue on. I want 100 years from now some 17-year-old girl to do improv because it's continuing on. I love that the Crazy Monkeys are still there.
Yeah.
And I'm toying with the idea of teaching more and trying to just keep it going. Like, I don't want people to miss out on something like this. And the amount that you learn about the world and yourself and life. And, I mean, you're basically getting to practice life.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. And, like, I'm so much better for it. And I want everyone to get to have the ability to be that much better for it. I still am working over the hiccups of I'm doing this on the sly, like the idea of actually doing a class and having my kids. I had my middle guy, I have 3 boys. He did a comedy camp, and it's interesting. Some of his friends could just really want to do it, and the struggle of that time in their life, the amount of joy that could be found from improv and learning to fail and loving that you failed and laughing at yourself, picking yourself back up. I want that kind of mindset and belief in life to continue.
Amy, I think that is inspirational.
Oh, good. Thanks.
And I would definitely also encourage you to teach, because I think that I thoroughly enjoyed teaching when I was down at SAC. I learned a lot from teaching, but even more than that, I think the improv world needs more strong women that are teaching improv, because that will help with so much.
Yeah, that'll be good. It'll be good. Women. Fancy pants. Oh, that'll be good.
That's it for my interview with Amy. If you're in Indianapolis, go catch some improv and you may see her. I hope you do. If you're at Purdue, check out Crazy Monkeys. They were Amy's college group. She was second generation, perhaps, in terms of when it was formed, but it's still around as far as I know, so check it out. I just posted some bonus content over on Patreon, including some bits that didn't make it into a couple regular episodes, as well as some phone prov that Charles Fryerman and I did. All of which you can access at the free tier. So if you're curious, go join for free on Patreon and give it a listen. If you want to get a hold of me, you can do so via improvbrain@gmail.com. Thanks for listening to Improv Autopsy.